Here's a couple ideas for making a bit more money with the same resources. Number one is profit first. So I finally figured out a way. I'm a spender. I am a big spender. I just love spending money. I love buying stuff. And I think a lot of people fall into that camp, especially as people who buy things to resell. They always see value in stuff. If you see something that's worth $50 and it's $10, you can't help yourself but to buy it regardless of whether or not you have the capacity to list that even within the next year or 6 months, right? Because if it doesn't get listed, it doesn't sell, right? So you start piling up these things and it starts stifling your capital and cash flow. And so one thing that has really helped me was putting the profit first model. There is a book called Profit First. I read it, I was like, it's a good idea. I tried it or maybe I didn't even try it, but I have this bank account and it allows you to separate your funds into reserves. And those reserves, you can allocate a percentage of what comes into these reserves. So I'm like, you know what? Let me separate everything out. So now I have 40% for cost of goods sold. I have 30% for payroll. I can go over these numbers and why I have them the way they are at a later time, but I do have 20% for profit. So I'm literally taking 20% off the table up front before anything else. And that is to me a number, like if I'm not making at least this, then this isn't even worth my time, right? I have a staff of 10 people on payroll and I'm not working for free. Maybe in the beginning, years ago, I wanted to do it and, I'm like, okay, I have to put my time in, I have to invest, I have to invest in people, I have to invest in the business. And that was my justification for not really making a lot of money or profit. I always paid my bills. I've never, had a car repoed or anything like that, right? I did at some point rack up a lot of debt and I was able to pay that off. And now I'm in a much, much better position and I can actually think more clearly because I have nothing that's really weighing me down. So I'm like, okay, let me just take 20% off the table. This is an acceptable amount. And I was able to stash away, $7,000 or $8,000 in just a matter of a week or two. And I'm like, wow, this is actually pretty insane because it gives me a constraint on the business. I have to operate with less. So if I have to operate with less, I'm going to buy less stuff. And it's already affected me. Today, I really wanted to go and snipe out some auctions and do some research and buy some stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that because I already spent my reserve for what I have allocated for cost of goods sold. I have a warehouse full of stuff that isn't listed. There's no reason why I should be spending money on things that I don't have the capacity to list within the next month or two. It's not healthy for the business. It's not healthy for me. And it's kind of a waste of time. It's opportunity cost. I'm making this video instead of buying stuff that I can't list. And this video may well propel my business forward and help me take the next step. Just think about that. The opportunity cost of buying things, the time it takes and the capital you're spending on it. That opportunity cost, what else could you be doing to grow your business? Because unless you don't have enough good stuff to sell, then you really have no business doing that. And that's what I have to tell myself daily. Right? I need a constant reminder of this. I have a spreadsheet. I keep track of all these specific numbers. Keeps me motivated and driven on driving up certain things. And one of those things is I have a subtext under my profit. Do not touch until this reaches 100,000. Do not touch it until this reaches 100,000. And then when I get that 100,000, I can be like, okay, you know what? I want to open up a storefront. I want to do this. I want to do that because I'm not tied down. Because the payroll that I have set aside, that's what's paying me my salary as well as the entire staff. So that's why it's a little bit higher because I'm also paying myself a pretty nice salary. So that profit is free and clear of anything. And I highly recommend doing this because it'll help you make better business decisions. One of the reasons maybe why you never feel like you're getting ahead is because you have bad capital allocation skills and no discipline and no structure to it. Trust me, I know that may sound offensive, but that's what I needed to hear. And I had no one around me telling me this. I had to figure it out on my own, and it took me a lot longer than I thought it would. A lot of these things have been coming to my mind. I'm going to make more videos on this, but I'm not getting younger, right? When I was, 5-10 years ago, I thought I could take on the world. I still feel that way. I still have those ambitions, but I'm realizing time is limited. Time is limited. And so I want to do what used to take me so long, these important lessons to learn. I want to learn those as fast as possible. And in order to do that, I need to become humble, right? And be like, I don't know everything. I am wrong on most things. The things I get right, I want to double down on, but I'm constantly questioning everything. Everything, what I say, what I think, what I do, how I run, everything has to be questioned and challenged, and you cannot put up a wall of defense protecting ideas. The only thing you should do that with is your personal convictions. I have a personal conviction that certain things will work, and I don't care what anyone says, I'm going to drive forward for those and prove that for myself. And when I find out that actually doesn't work, okay, fine. That may be stubborn, and I'm realizing I held on to too many things like that. I had to let go of some of them, but there's still some that are there that I'm like, you know what? This is a worthy ambition and conviction that I want to move forward. And it ties not just to making money, there's more to it than that. Like, I want to contribute to the world in a certain way, and I have an idea in my mind, wherever that came from, my experiences, my spiritual upbringing, all of these things tie together, and to the skills that I have and to what I want to accomplish and do. And I'm like, well, if I even want to get close to that, I need 100,000 to open up a appropriate storefront to do that. And in order to do that, I need $100,000, and I do not want to borrow. And I'm like, well, I don't want to put my family in a precarious situation either, so I'm not going to touch anything there. I has to come from the business. So I'm like, okay, how the heck am I going to do that? I had to put my own pride aside and be like, I need to stop buying stuff regardless of the deals. And I need to take a step back and take this profit first. So anyway, all of that to say that taking your profit first will help you think so much more clearly about how you are operating your business, and it'll put it, all the stars will align. And this is for me, right? You may have a different metric or a different number that is, but I highly encourage you to play around with percentages. Let's say you get $1,000 that came into your business. Okay, well, on average, how much of that goes to your own salary? How much of that goes to cost of goods sold, whatever? And make restrictions and restraints on that and try to carry that over. One of my main issues was I buy large collections. And so if I buy a large collection for $2,000 and it comes in and there's thousands of parts in it, right? Let's say it's a Pokemon card collection. I may sell one card on eBay. I may go grade one card. I may put 5 cards together into a lot on an eBay auction, and then I might sell 100 of them on Whatnot, and then I might take the rest and sell them in bulk on eBay. How are you supposed to calculate and do the accounting on a piece basis like that? There's no, you know how much work will go into setting those percentages apart? So for me, the much easier way is just taking the profit out first. I know that I'm making money when I'm buying this collection because I know the value of these things. I am an expert in this area. I do not know the exact numbers, and that is really important to know. And I've come to the conclusion that there's no real good way to know unless you're going to put an extraordinary amount of work into it, literally doubling or tripling your sorting time, which is not practical at this moment in time. If anyone has a good idea on how to break apart what I just said and make the numbers make sense, if you just take the overall number and divide, okay, well, there's 5 things, so just divide that $2,000 by 5. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that because let's say one sold for 20 and one sold for 200. Now you're losing money on one and you're gaining money on other, and it'll even out in the end. But then what's really the value of breaking it down like that? Why don't you just do, well, overall you made let's say $3,000 and you spent $2,000 instead of having it on a per piece basis. And so that is, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. And so I plan on continuing to do this going forward. I think 40% of what comes in is a good healthy number to restrict myself and restrain myself from purchasing things that I have no business purchasing because I don't have the processing power for it. Now, let's say that 40% starts to build up, and now that's building up. Let's say I have $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 in my cost of goods sold. Now I can go and purchase liberally, especially if I have inventory, and that gives me a sense of, wow, my business is extremely healthy. Because not only do I have inventory in stock in order to list and sell, but now I have an overabundance of money sitting in my capital allocation that is set aside for cost of goods sold. So that would be a good indication to be like, okay, maybe I can get into another category. Maybe I could take this and like start a whole nother business. Maybe I could take this and hire somebody else to help me list more and then purchase more. So like, and that is a very smart way of doing it, rather than I want to grow, so let me borrow money to grow my business, when you're not tracking these numbers and keeping them tamed, right? I've made a lot of money over the years, and I've lost a lot of money, and I've wasted my time a lot. And trust me when I say, you don't want to be the person caught in the hamster wheel, just spinning. That hamster's getting exercise, but that's about it. He's literally wasting his time doing nothing, thinking he's doing something, doing absolutely nothing. If it's just for fun, then do it for fun, right? But don't have those expectations of thinking you're doing something when you're really not. And the one thing I will say is the lessons I've learned by what I've gone through are invaluable. But looking back, I could have learned those lessons I learned over 7 years in one if I just removed pride from the equation. And I could have learned those lessons a lot quicker. So I hope this was insightful and helpful. If you guys have any questions, please put them in the comments below. I'd really appreciate a subscribe. This was me just bearing a little bit of my honesty and transparency mixed in with what I think would be helpful to others. And it's helpful for myself to express these ideas out loud. If you like this kind of stuff and you want me to continue to do this, I would appreciate, any other topics you want me to just be transparent about, pop those in the comments below, and I will absolutely get to those, especially as small as this channel is. There might be one comment, I'm gonna make a video on that, right? So I really appreciate you all, and we'll catch you all next time.